Hi guys, this is Lalana. Thanks for tuning into the Sovereign Path. So today I have a quick video on something that a lot of people, this may be a little bit of a triggering video. I'll just sort of put that out there first and foremost. So this is really like how to walk the twin flame path. And it's super simple, right? So I don't want this video to get long. How do you walk the twin flame path? My dogs are in here if you hear them snoring. You love yourself. You come back into self-love with yourself. That's how you walk this path. And I do lots of videos on twin flames, and I have for a long time. A lot of other coaches do lots of videos on twin flames. And there are so many nuances, right, within this path, and that there are so many avenues that we can go down, and there are so many rabbit holes and loopholes and all of those sort of things that we can talk about on the twin flame path. If this is something that you have actually experienced and are continuing to experience, and you find yourself undergoing an actual spiritual awakening and coming into higher consciousness. The truth is that we can talk about, and I can talk about those things for days, for weeks, for years, for months, for however long. And I can find those things really, interesting, and they are, right? The ins and outs of the twin flame dynamic are interesting. They are. But the truth of the matter is that there is only one way to walk this path, and that is coming back into self-love. That's coming back into the remembrance of who you are as soul, as source, as consciousness, right? This is why I'm always saying that if you're not going through a spiritual awakening, if you're not going through an ascension process, then you're not experiencing a twin flame dynamic, because that is the purpose of this path. Is to come back into oneness with self, is to come back into remembrance that you are source, God, creation, all that is, right? And that all of the programmings and the ego mind and all of the separation and the duality that we experience here in the 3D is just that. They are simply experiences that we have here in this lower vibratory dimension. That's all they are. They're not who we are, right? As souls, we exist in much higher dimensions, dimensions that love and the higher vibration and the higher frequency is the norm, right? There is no duality there. There is no polarization. There is none of this egoic, on and off, back and forth, up and down, hot and cold, in and out, separation consciousness. It doesn't exist where we are from. Right? So this is a really important thing that we need to understand, because when we're on a twin flame path, the focus is always outside. It's always on that other person. It's always on how to get that other person back, or what the DM is doing now, or what the DF is doing now, or what this collective is doing, or that collective, or, what the healing is doing, all of these sorts of things, right? We all know I talk about these things too in all of my videos, and I'll continue to. But at the end of the day, this is the only way to walk the path. And so all the other, videos and topics and things that we all hit on, as I said, those are just the nuances, right? They're the nuances of how this path plays out. But in order to shortcut this path, which anyone can do, is to remember that I am love, I am God, I am source, I am creation, and I am not the chitter chatterings of the ego mind, right? I am not the mind. I can utilize the mind and I can utilize the ego in certain situations, but the mind and the ego are not me, and therefore they are not running the show, running my life, running and making my decisions based on separation, based on duality, based on polarization, based on fear of loss, fear of abandonment, fear of not being good enough, fear of not being loved. All of those things are illusory. They are not you. They are illusions here that we are experiencing in this lower vibratory state. That's what they are. The awakening path, the ascension path, the twin flame path, these are here to shift us out of those programs of illusion, right? This is a self-love path. That's what it is. That's what it will always be, no matter how it came into your world. So if you're just going through a spiritual awakening without any twin flame trigger, or if you're going through a spiritual awakening and your twin flame was your trigger, it's still a self-loving path. It's still a path that is coming back into the love of self, right? It's still a path that is showing you all of these other illusory programs that you have been running were a part of your experience here in this third dimensional reality, but they're not who you are. And so now it's time for you to awaken out of those and come back into the remembrance that I am one with all, right? I am God's source creation, all that is. I am love. This is the key to this path. It will always be to the key to this path. This is the way forward on this path. It's that remembrance. It's that recognition. It's the knowing that I am my higher self. I am soul, right? This is just an experience that I'm having here, a physical experience that I'm having here in this physical vessel, having these other experiences. And that's what it is. So the attachment that comes in when we're talking about having to have romantic relationship, having to be in physical relationship with the twin, you know, having to have this certain job, having to make this certain amount of money, you know, having, wanting, desiring, you know, all of these things. This is the veil that keeps you from the remembrance that I am all that is, that I actually have everything within me. I just forgot, right? I just forgot. But as soon as I come back into that remembrance, which is the point of the spiritual awakening, this is what a spiritual awakening is, coming back into the remembrance that all of those externalities that I have been leaning on, defining myself as, labeling myself with, you know, having to be attached to, these things are actually what is keeping that veil up between me and the true sense of me, right? Between the egoic mind me, the labels and the definitions and the things that I have believed to be true of me, and the true me, which is love, which is higher consciousness, which is higher vibratory states, which is oneness, which is peace, which is all of those things, which is unity, which is union, which is inner union, all of these loving states, right? It's coming out of the stress and the go, 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 the do, 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 and the hurry, 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 and the and all of these sort of things, and coming back into the truth and the vibration of who you are, which is peace, which is love, right? Which is joy. Joy is your natural state of being. Joy is everyone's natural state of being, right? We just forgot because we came into have this experience in the 3D and we had to go through the amnesic state in order to do this. But this path is about coming out of that again and remembering, I am love. I am love. I am my twin flame. My twin flame is me, right? I am love. That is what I am. That is my embodiment always. And that everything outside of me is just keeping me from me. And this is how the twin flame dynamic works. This is why most people that are actually true twin flames will say, the more you focus outward, the more you are abandoning self, which means the more you focus on the outer aspect of the physical twin, the more you are pulling away from your own love within you, right? This is why when you're focused on your own love, when you're coming back into your own consciousness, when your whole life becomes awakening and ascension, that becomes your world, then your self-love automatically comes back online, because that's what it's doing, right? That's what awakening is doing. It's pulling out all of the illusory things that we have believed that we are for however many lifetimes we've been doing this. It's pulling that out. And so that's why when you go through the awakening process, all of the healing starts to happen. Everything starts to shed off that you're not. It's not actually healing. It's that you're actually releasing and transmuting all of these lower density energies and vibrations that you never were to begin with, that you were just experiencing, right? And then the ego got attached to those and identified as them. This is why spiritual awakenings feel so difficult, because the ego death has to be releasing the identifications that we have always held on to. We believe that we are these things, labels, definitions, whatever it is. The ego believes that that's what it is, and it identifies with that, right? That's part of this reality. The awakening breaks that loose. That's not who I am at all. It's not who I've ever been, right? This isn't my identity. This isn't my definition. This isn't my label. This isn't who I am. I'm not codependent, right? I have very high self-worth. I completely love myself within and without. I don't need anything external to me to validate me or to prove that I'm worthy of love. I am love. That's what the awakening is. That's why your twin flame is here. That's why when you come into that space and you embody it, and you come back into the embodiment of higher self, source, God, truth, creation, love, all that is, the physical aspect of you comes back into your world, right? That's why. Because separation doesn't actually exist. It doesn't actually exist. We're just experiencing it. And on this path, we get so attached, well, in the third dimensional reality, we have become so attached to separation and duality, we just think that's normal. And that's normal that you think that that's normal. But once you come onto this path, it's pushing you out of thinking that that's normal. It's the recognition and the remembrance that no, that's not actually who I am. And that's not actually how the universe works in the higher dimensions. I'm just experiencing all of these low vibrations. And so my twin flame is not separate from me, neither is anything else. That's the thing. We're so used to living this way, thinking that everyone is separate from everyone else, and the ego always battling with everything else and having the defense mechanisms and all of the shit, that it's just natural, or we think that it's natural when we look over and we see our same soul incarnate, that soul is separate from me. But that's what this path is about. It's coming back into the remembrance that we are all one. We are all one with everybody, with everyone. There are millions and millions and millions and millions of souls incarnating simultaneously everywhere, right? We are all coming from the same source. We are all coming from creation, having all of these experiences. But we're all being birthed from the same source creation. There is no separation. And the mind doesn't like that. The ego definitely doesn't like that. And yes, it takes a while for being on the awakening path for that to finally, become your embodiment again. Because you've been so used to living in separation and so used to living in duality. But it's not who you are. And your twin is showing you that that's not who you are by being a physical representation of your same soul. That's what this path is. It's showing you that I am love. I am love. That is me. That is my same soul. And we are having an experience, and we are coming back home to the self. And as soon as you come back home to the self and come back into that remembrance, well, the physical aspect comes back into your life, because there was never any separation. There was never any separation to begin with. This is an energetic, this is energy, like everything in this, all of creation, it's all energy, vibrating at different speeds, right? And the 1D, 2D, 3D vibrates at a very, very slow speed, right? We're shifting back into 4, 5, and 6 dimension. Some of us higher. I'll get into other videos on that as I go forward. But, you know, if you're a twin flame, your ascension process is shifting you into those higher vibratory states. And in those higher vibratory states and in the higher dimensions of the 4th, 5th, and 6th dimension, separation, duality, and polarity, you can't take them with you. That's why so many people struggle on this path. And that's why I talk about the 3D relationship and 5D union and how different these things are and how twin flames exist in the 5th dimensional vibration and higher. And so when we're always trying to fit the twin flame dynamic into the 3rd dimensional paradigm of separation and duality, and we're still believing that we're the ego and all the identifications that it has, this is why the twin flame dynamic can't work, right? And this is what slows the awakening process down, and it slows the ascension process down, right? And that's all fine and good, right? There's no timer. There's no right or wrong way to do this. It just means that if you go slower, then you'll just be doing this for a few more lifetimes before you get to that next point. But if you roll with it and you flow with it and you don't resist and you don't fight your awakening, then you will find yourself naturally vibrating higher and higher as your consciousness continues to rise, right? And you will find yourself vibrating at that 4th, 5th, 6th dimensional frequency, depending on where you're at, right? And that's when you will find that you are always one with your twin. You are never separate from them. Not once, not for 1 second were you ever separate from them. So that's what I have for you guys. I hope that that resonates. You have an awesome day.